Welcome back, everybody, and as promised, here's part 2 of our Final Fight hack series with 2-player Final Fight on Super Nintendo.
Something you couldn't do back in the day.
Yep, and I think you're the first player, so hit start here.
So the last game we played, or the last ROM hack we played, was for Final Fight Guy, and we didn't even choose Guy.
Well,
so we're gonna remedy that in this
okay.
this time. So I'll be Guy.
Oh, so
Max is gonna be Cody.
Thanks for playing the prototype. This is a work in progress. Some weapons and effects have been, well,
have messed up tiles.
And some player sounds are wrong. There's sprite flickering, slow down, enemies will ignore second player. Game over conditions for second player are not yet implemented. So I believe this is version 0.5.
So it's getting there.
Yeah, so there's definitely going to be some hiccups here and there, but apparently it can be played through from beginning to end. So,
yeah, let's give it a shot.
Yeah, you're going to be Guy, and I'm going to be Cody. For the first time ever, these two guys are on the same cartridge.
So this isn't going to be too different from the last video, but at least we've got some 2-player action going here.
That's right.
There's the aforementioned slowdown. Because this is all using stock hardware, stock chips that would have been found in standard cartridges for the Super Nintendo. There were some later games that would go on to include, you know, special effect chips on the cartridges to allow games to do a little bit extra, but this is all stock, so there's bound to be some slowdown.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the author of this hack. It's spelled Rotwang, but I think it's a German word for, I think they pronounce it Rotwang or something. But I'm just gonna say Rotwang since I'm too American to pronounce things properly.
Hey, you know more than I did. I just assumed he was Rotwang.
Yeah, I always try to look these up so I don't come across as an idiot. Yeah, so one of the things, unfortunately, that couldn't be implemented in this hack, other than the missing industrial stages, are the little scene transitions, like the characters
walking into the subway
or
breaking through walls, things like that.
Yeah.
Just another indication that they probably could have spent a little more time on this version.
Like we explained in the last video, this was an early Super Nintendo title, so they didn't know exactly what they were working with at the time. As you can see, there's the jarbled graphics for the knife. It's hard to hit anything when they're all coming after you.
We could use this to our advantage here. I'll stand back and let you take care of everything. Oh no!
That's right.
I got sucker punched.
Now, even though the screen locks here, there's actually a little bit more area to the right that features the little door that our characters would have broken through after this section.
So they just clip it out of the frame.
Yeah.
That's funny.
The same thing happens at the bar stage and a few other areas where there would have been scene transitions. Actually, the subway is the only thing that was kind of implemented when the train stops after you beat up everyone.
So what was your favorite beat 'em up on the Super Nintendo? We talked kind of in general last time about beat 'em ups, but what about the Super Nintendo specifically? What was your favorite?
It's gotta be Turtles in Time, man.
Yeah, that was gonna be my answer too.
I mean, it's nearly, well, I wouldn't say it's a perfect port of the arcade, but it managed to take everything that was important in that game while implementing some original content to make up for the weak hardware, such as new levels and new bosses. Some even argue that it's better than the arcade version.
Yeah, I can definitely see that argument made. For sure. Wasn't the boss fight where you're chucking foot soldiers at the screen, was that a Super Nintendo exclusive boss fight?
I think so.
See,
it's
yeah,
been a long while since I played the arcade version.
No, they definitely got creative with the way they implemented the home ports of the arcade game. I mean, Hyperstone Heist 2 is kind of its own game.
As you can see there, the shadow effects on that boss was a little
Glitched out
as well.
The victory music in this version, I gotta say, doesn't sound too good. Super Nintendo could have sounded better than that, if you ask me.
Yeah. By the time they started making games like Mega Man X, they really started to understand the ins and outs of the system.
Yeah, because Capcom at this time, they generally were known for just their very solid sound design, and you can tell, you can see some of that in this game, but it's not as polished as later titles would be.
They always had a good lineup of composers.
Yes, yeah, that's definitely true. A lot of these composers still work in the industry to this day. I feel like a lot of modern soundtracks for modern games, they edge a little too... They go a little too far in the atmospheric direction, and so it's harder to have like iconic tunes that you find yourself humming throughout the day. In the 8-bit and 16-bit era, you always had these awesome soundtracks and awesome theme songs that are just really memorable. I feel like modern games are missing that.
Oh, it looks like you got a one-up from that last guy there.
Let's see, what other good beat-em-ups were there? Knights of the Round? That's a pretty solid game.
Yeah, I mostly played that one in the arcade, and I never had a chance to... Wait. Nah, I don't think we ever rented the Super Nintendo version.
Yeah, I didn't play it until much later. It's a solid port, though. Definitely not as good as the arcade version, but hey, I would have been perfectly happy to have owned that one as a kid.
It still had the two-player feature.
Yeah. Now I gotta say, beat 'em ups without two-player features, it really does kill the enjoyment of them.
We've been playing so much Final Fight and Streets of Rage, I'm surprised we haven't gotten the Capcom beat 'em up collection yet.
Yeah, really.
Of course, there are a few titles they weren't able to get in there due to trademarks such as Alien vs. Predator and Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
Oh, that kills me. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. That's an honorable mention right there. Absolutely. That's got to be one of my favorite arcade beat 'em ups of all time.
Yeah.
The
amount of chaos that they managed to squeeze into that title is just...
Oh, tons of sprites on the screen, beautiful comic book style graphics, awesome sound design. All the guns have a really good oomph to them.
Pretty violent too.
Yeah, definitely quite a bit of cartoon violence and blood going on in that one. Capcom really, they were kings of the beat 'em up genre for a while there. The Punisher, that was also another good one.
Oh yeah. They also made a home port of that on the Genesis. That was rather good.
Yeah, I've wanted to buy that several times. Every time I've seen it in the wild, it's always been a little too expensive for me to pick up, and it's always been near the end of the shopping trip where I've already kind of spent my allotted allowance, if you will, I've given myself.
Yeah.
I'll get it on eBay one of these days.
Yeah, and then maybe we can do a... Yeah, I think there's a few ROM hacks for that game. I'm pretty sure somebody made a kind of a colorized palette version of that makes it a bit closer to the arcade, so the colors are a bit brighter.
Yeah, that was a problem in a lot of Sega ports back in the day. The color palettes were often kind of drab, kind of desaturated looking, a little gaudy. And I'm not really sure why. I have a feeling it had to do with the way they were converting graphics back then. They wouldn't necessarily go back in to adjust color values. They just kind of used whatever was spit out of the standard programs back then.
Maybe it also had something to do with the monitors they were using around that time.
Yeah, it could be. I'm sure they were probably using, RGB output on some of that stuff, which is going to produce much more vivid colors and a sharper image than what at least Americans would get at home. I know Europeans and some of you other territories, you got to enjoy SCART cables and RGB signals more than we did over here. Mm-hmm. We have to mod our stuff in order to get the same results. You were lucky. You guys were lucky.
Oh, great.
It's okay. With you here,
Ooh.
It should be a much easier fight.
I actually increased the health value of this guy a little bit.
I wonder if that was already programmed in.
It was.
Yeah. That makes sense.
There's even a Game Genie code to reinsert. Of course, that would just make the fight harder, and why would you do that unless you have a second player?
Oh. So I'm just gonna hide behind you. You got this, Max.
Yeah, like I mentioned in the early video, the hit detection for the sword is a bit wonky against this boss.
Yeah, and he does have some invincibility frames when he gets up, so makes him harder to hit.
Oh, this should be easy.
Yeah, really. Oh, here we go.
There we go.
Could have gotten a better time bonus there, so that's okay.
Oh, they actually distribute the points there. I thought they were just going to give everything to you.
Oh my god.
There's the sound clip.
Oh my god.
Oh, and they placed us up here in the proper starting point as opposed to just starting down there.
Nice little touch.
Even though that was something they easily could have fixed before release.
Look at these advertisements back here for restaurant.
Mmm.
I miss restaurants. Remember when we used to go to restaurants and then the pandemic happened?
Yeah. Now most of them are doing takeouts.
Yeah, goddamn. This game is making me depressed. It's okay. Things will get back to normal eventually. We've got a lot of hardworking people out there trying to keep us safe. Shout out to all the doctors and nurses and essential workers.
Businesses.
Yeah. Essential workers like myself who have to keep working and putting ourselves out there to keep society running. It's amazing how fragile civilized civilization is. You know, when something like this happens, you really see some people's true colors. Saying that as I've been on some recent shopping trips where I've seen some pretty deplorable behavior from some people, but I know most of you out there are cool. Hey, we've got the bar sign.
That's right.
And the people.
Pretty much everything that was in the arcade remix you'll find here as well.
Sweet. Maybe we should have skipped that last one and gone straight to this 2-player version.
Yeah, but like I said before, I wanted to give that other guy a little bit of
you gotta give credit where credit's due.
Since this 2-player hack was obviously gonna overshadow that. Ooh, pineapple. Hello, pineapples. Speaking of pineapples, do you consider it a pizza topping?
This might be a controversial opinion, But yeah, I'm fine with pineapple as a pizza topping.
Yeah, I never really had a big problem with it.
Shoot, yeah, sardines, pineapple. I like all the weird stuff. Black olives, some people don't like that either.
Heck, I'll have anchovies on my pizza if I have the chance.
Dude, one of my favorite pizzas in this area is from a place called the Union Hotel. They make a pear pizza. It's absolutely delicious.
Really?
Yeah, I know it sounds weird, but they're very, very, very thin slices, so it's subtle. But I'll be damned, it's really good. They've also got one that has a mashed potato base on it. That's really quite tasty too. I'm not ashamed to admit that stuff's pretty good.
Things to think about once things start to shimmer down around here.
Oh, I definitely plan to eat quite a bit of food when all this is over. Oh, he accidentally hit you. Oh no!
Now, another interesting thing about this fight is that there's some unused coding for an extra on-door to jump in after you defeat one of these guys.
I guess they decided that was a little too hard.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things that was supposed to activate if you were to have 2 players on.
It's otherwise inaccessible in normal play.
Yeah.
I wonder if this game is... Oh, I guess no. It's not implemented yet.
Yeah, it's just the 2 guys.
We smashed through those guys.
Finally, I actually died before getting to this.
Oh no! I picked that up just in time. Oh, that was a close one. You know what I can't believe I forgot to mention here? Return of Double Dragon. That's an awesome 2-player beat 'em up for Super Nintendo.
Yeah, we definitely need to do a playthrough of that one.
Absolutely. Now notice I said Return of Double Dragon instead of Super Double Dragon. So Super Double Dragon is the original American release of that game, and it was actually released before the Japanese version. And so it actually has some missing content in it. So I eventually went out and got the Japanese version because the levels are a little bit longer, the enemy AI is a little bit different, and it's just overall a slightly better game, in my opinion.
You can also give yourself more 1-ups.
Yeah, it's not quite as challenging if you use all the 1-ups that the option menu makes available to you.
Yeah.
But that's not why I like it. It's just a more complete, more polished game. So if you ever get that game, go for the Japanese version if possible. And last I checked, it actually was still cheaper than the American version. I actually had some random Japanese shop send it over here. They even included a really cute piece of folded... it's not origami, but it was like a paper fold to look like a 1-up mushroom. It was super cute.
Now, we should carefully ease to the right here.
Okay.
Until the... Okay, there he is. Eddie.
Oh, does that prevent his henchmen from spawning?
That's right.
Max coming in with all the tricks.
Wow, they said in the Streets of Rage game that the other cop looked like the Big Boss Man. This guy looks like the Big Boss Man Ray trailer.
Yeah.
He was one of my favorite big man wrestlers back in the day. Didn't win a whole lot of titles, but he was agile for a big guy.
He really was. There's some cool footage of that guy in his jobber days where he really put some people over with his agility.
Yeah.
Had some great work in Japan too. He's got a match against Kenta Kobashi that's I think
that surprised me.
That's a surprisingly entertaining match.
Yeah.
Careful, Max. We're outing ourselves as nerds. Now everyone knows.
Now here we are fighting in the Bay Area, our home turf.
Yeah.
So does that mean that Metro City takes place in California?
I'd like to think so.
I mean, it's fair. It does have its own fair share of problems with crime in certain areas.
Yeah.
At least in the ones with the denser population.
At least I don't see syringes and human feces all over the ground like San Francisco.
Oh man. How the mighty have fallen.
Remember when we used to enjoy going to San Francisco? Now I cannot bring myself to cross that bridge anymore. Oh, it's sad.
I mean, I guess we kind of did was it last year? I think it was when the Aquabats were playing.
Yeah, I'll still go for the occasional concert. But otherwise, yeah, I don't go there for just shopping trips anymore. It's too bad. I have some fond memories of going there and spending the day.
Yeah.
Are we gonna try the?
I want to at least practice the whole dog. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but in this level there are 4 dogs in this backdrop. If you go in front of the dog and stand at a particular spot, it's supposed to give you some kind of benefits. Though I'm not sure if I can get it to work here. Or maybe
I don't quite remember how it works. I would have to honestly see a screenshot to see where you're supposed to stand. And as I recall, depending on the dog you stand next to, it'll give you different benefits. Like I think one of them, it'll give you extra points to your score.
Yeah, I think this is what this dog does.
So I think you gotta wait a good like 5 seconds before it activates. I don't quite remember. And it might not work in this version, so.
Yeah, it is a hack, so there are some things that aren't going to be mapped properly. Let's just go.
Yeah. I wonder if it's something that doesn't work
or
with the
maybe it
second
works
player.
with your character. Yeah, so basically you kind of stand in front of the dog like this, like where I'm standing, and then you move down a step a little. Oh, darn you.
I think he barks faster when you get the right spot.
Yeah,
whatever, we don't need that.
Yeah, it used to be one of those obscure secrets that was discovered years later, and when the game was ported onto the Game Boy Advance, they not only added the missing industrial stage, but they also added little conversations before the boss fights. And when you get to the boss fight at the end of this level, he'll make a vague reference to those dogs as a way to give you a
hint that they're to be interacted with.
Who knows, maybe we don't need the help.
Well, so far we seem to be doing fine. The fact that they only target me really helps.
Yeah.
I can kind of hide behind you. Yeah, so far I gotta say, this is, for being a prototype, this is incredibly playable thus far. I'm not seeing like any obvious glitches aside from the graphical glitches and the enemies not targeting you.
Yeah, it's a shame they couldn't get the 2-player function to work during the day, because it's... Oh, darn it.
Yeah, this would have been very disappointing if, you're used to the arcade version.
There's also another version of this game that was, I think it was on some special Japanese home computer that was capable of doing really good arcade ports, and they managed to get a really good version of Final Fight in there. I forgot the name of that system, though.
I'll have to look it up. There's a few Japanese home computers that really push some pretty spectacular home arcade conversions. It's too bad we didn't really get to see that in the States so much.
Yeah. There was also an Omega version.
Yeah.
They did their best with what they had.
The Amiga wasn't it wasn't a terrible system.
Just
shoot, in its day it was a powerhouse, but
this wasn't made for these types.
Yeah, this was probably a little too much for it, I would imagine. Didn't the Amiga share some hardware similarities to the Sega Genesis?
No, I don't know. I seem to recall. Look into that again.
I'm pretty sure the Sega Genesis was technically a stronger system, but the architecture is similar. I could be wrong.
I think this dog either gives you more health or more Like if you wait 60 seconds, it'll give you either an extra credit or an extra 1-up.
Is it really 60 seconds? Ah, screw it. We don't need that. We're not gonna bore our users with something that may or may not work.
Yeah. It's also part of the reason why they give us so much time on the clock there. So they can give people a chance to take advantage of the... Oh, sorry about that. It's okay. You would do a better job protecting you.
Yeah, I gotta say, a lot of these old games, the timers they would put on... the timers that they use, they're so randomly arbitrary and that they're so slow they don't really mean anything. Like, I understand in an arcade game you might want to put a timer so that people don't waste time while other people are in line to play the game. But when you're at home, well, why do you really need the timer? You bought the game.
It's like an extra punishment for you. So, I said earlier that these Final Fight hacks were probably going to be a 3-part video. I may have been a little inaccurate about that. It might take 4 or 5 parts
just to
showcase everything.
Max, finding good hacks for us to play.
Yeah.
I had nothing to do with this, people. I'm just following Max's orders. Ooh,
I should pick that up.
I should. Let me see if I can rush over.
There you go.
That's a cute little sprite.
Yeah, so when we do a 3rd part of this, we're gonna focus on Mighty Final Fight for the NES.
Cool. Like I said before, that's a game I see trashed online fairly often, and that game does not deserve that kind of treatment. That's a good game, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's also one of the more rare titles for the NES, and I wish they would do a release of that game on some kind of digital service or
that's it. That's an expensive game now. In fact, I think that might be the most expensive video game we own. I'd have to double check and see what other rarities we have, but yeah, that's like a $200 game these days.
I also really love the Bay Area music for that level. On the seaside.
Yeah, the soundtrack in that game is rockin'. Oh, it's absolutely awesome. I wish more people would cover some of those tunes because I love them.
There's a couple of good covers on the internet.
Yeah, I've seen some good ones.
Acoustic even. I think we're almost at the boss for this level. I think it's Abigail, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Abigail with some unusual attacks, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, especially in Mighty Final Fight.
Yeah. The Nintendo version, he can give you a kiss of death.
Oh yeah.
Oh shoot.
One of Mortal Kombat's most deadliest moves.
Yeah. Shoot, that game,
I hate these guys.
I think predates Mortal Kombat. Or Mortal Kombat 2, I guess it would have been.
Well, the first game had its own kiss of death.
Oh, that's right.
It was
Sonya Blade, huh?
Yeah,
had her own.
Yeah,
She'd would blow a kiss that
Yeah.
would incinerate you, I believe.
Well, Katana's was a bit more physical.
Yeah, if you're gonna die from a kiss, it might as well be physical.
If you're willing to explode.
Because technically you could kill someone in real life by blowing them a kiss these days if you've got the COVID.
Hey. Yeah, our roommate was coming home, or at least was sitting in her car, and some homeless guy decided to spit at her car.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
It was weird.
That guy's kind of a wacko. He's hung around that area for over a year now, and just he's not all there. He typically just rides his bike in circles, yelling at nothing, but decided to to start spitting at cars the other day.
Yeah.
And the police wouldn't do anything.
Admittedly, California has a...
We've got a homeless problem.
Yes.
I mean, the United States in general does. It's unfortunate. We have nowhere to put homeless people or mentally ill people in this country. It's pretty depressing.
Yeah. Some of them have to resort to joining the Mad Gear gang.
Yep.
Because they feel like they have nowhere else to go.
This is what happens when you don't have safety nets, people. You end up with street fights and graffiti or identical graffiti on park benches everywhere and homeless dogs in the last level.
Oh, yeah. They need homes.
They do. All puppers want are a full belly and a warm bed to sleep at night. It's the least we can do for our furry friends.
Another thing I don't think we mentioned is that we, in a way, we do kind of own all 4 games on Super Nintendo, but what I got was, is this multi-cart that features all 4 games on a singular cartridge. Let's see, I think it was, yes, it was Retro Gamers and Backup is where I got it from.
It's a very handy website for retro video game fans such as ourselves.
Yeah. I know it's rather debated over whether reproduction carts is a correct way to collect these days, but I kind of set my own self-standards when it comes to that.
Typically focus on ROM hacks if I'm going to do something like that, or if, you know, it's a rare game that's like $300. Like, I'm not trying to pay a couple $100 or a few $100s for an old game.
I'm certainly not spending $1,000 for a game like Snatcher.
Yeah, really.
Which is, which you can actually play on the Turbo CD. I mean, the Turbo Graphic Mini, except it's in Japanese, so...
Yeah, unless you speak Japanese, you're out of luck.
But yeah, maybe someday somebody will be encouraged enough to do an English translation of it.
I sure hope so.
I mean, they can just borrow the audio dialogue from the Sega CD version, and you got yourself another way to play the game.
I'm surprised that one hasn't gotten... I know it's been remade quite a few times, but a modern remake, I think, is in order, if you ask me. Adventure games don't get enough love these days. Especially the Japanese ones.
I wonder if they need Hideo Kojima for that game, since he was the creator of that one and he doesn't work with Konami anymore.
I can't imagine he has any copywritten material for that one.
Yeah. That's true.
I'm sure Konami must own the rights to all that.
He doesn't have Metal Gear anymore.
Yeah. I'm still a Kojima fan, even after, you know, Death Stranded being kind of underwhelming. I appreciate his creativity.
Yeah.
Trying something new.
While trying to push technology.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot about this bonus stage.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Break the glass. Oh, here we go. Yeah, this should be much easier since there's 2 of us.
Unless it's been reprogrammed.
Yeah. So I think after this is the final stage of the game. Oh, we didn't get to the end?
I think I screwed it up. I kept missing.
Alright, Uptown. So like I said, no industrial area. No. Although...
Are there any hacks that try to reinsert that into the game? It seems like it would be a big undertaking.
Yeah. Although some people theorize that it would hypothetically be possible if you were to extract data from the Game Boy Advance version of the game.
Yeah, and convert some of those graphics.
But I would have to maybe go to a
otherwise you're extracting arcade graphics, you're converting them to a Super Nintendo resolution and color palette, and then you're probably having to clean up those graphics on top of that to make it not a garbled muddy mess. So yeah, I think you're right. Taking it from the Game Boy Advance version would probably be an easier strategy.
I need to do a better job at being your bodyguard.
You gotta be my bodyguard. Cody, the bodyguard.
So, funny story about this two-player hack. The first time I heard anybody trying to make a two-player hack for this game was from a guy named Grego from ROM Hacking. And, for a while, you know, he was kind of doing his own thing, posting updates here and there. And then it came to his attention that there was another guy working on this who,
Was further along.
yeah, and yeah, I think he was working on this longer than he was, and so he decided to stop on that project, and
Moved on to something else.
he ultimately moved on to making a 3-player arcade hack.
Oh, that's the same guy.
And
yeah.
he did so by teaming up with Rotwang.
It's come full circle.
That's
Hey, I just
right.
wanted to point out the pillar here with the
Oh,
statue
that's
with
right.
the exposed chest there. That's another piece that was censored in the original American version, but we see it in all its artistic glory here.
Oh, we're gonna get demonetized for this one.
Oh yeah, we better move forward before YouTube catches on. Oh,
That was
good
close.
thing someone hid some chicken up there. I needed that.
Yeah, I don't know how it got up there, but at least it was still fresh.
Protect me, Cody.
Maybe
Get
this is
Billy
for the-
Bull and Hollywood and Andre the Giant Jr. Whew, good job, Max. Good job. Just hide behind you until we get to the end of the game.
Yeah, from what I've heard, the final boss of this game is a bit of a quarter muncher, so to speak.
I don't got no quarters. Nice
Yeah,
combo. Nice.
And I guess there would have been a cutscene of us going into that elevator.
I do like this song. Hold on.
And not too bad for an early Super Nintendo track.
Oh God!
Considering most of the music in this game isn't, I don't know, not fully optimized. If that makes any sense.
Still got a good drum sample in there.
Yeah.
Good snare. Yeah, I don't know if they were using their importing their own sounds yet at this point. I think
or
they're using
The
sounds.
normal development kit.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Thank you,
Not
Max.
so fast.
I didn't think we would, but I think we're actually gonna make it to the last guy here. Now, whether or not we win, I don't know, because I don't think I've ever actually made it to the final boss of this game, at least in the Super Nintendo version.
Yeah, I've definitely have at least gotten to the final stage, but I don't remember if I ever got to the final boss.
I definitely haven't.
I definitely didn't beat this game. I have beaten Mighty Final Fight though.
Yeah, many, many times. It's definitely a challenging game, but not. I wouldn't say it's Nintendo hard, so to speak. Like Ghost and Goblins is going to be a tougher game than Mighty Final Fight, but you're not going to beat it your first try either. I'd say it strikes a good balance.
Jump! Oh, that slowdown.
That was scary.
That makes these guys even more deadly.
You can tell this game probably shared some of the same artists from the Street Fighter series.
But I wouldn't be surprised considering this takes place within the same universe as Street Fighter.
The way people catch fire, the sprite's very similar to the way people burn when you get hit by yoga fire. Got palm trees in the background.
So there's also a few other Final Fight games that not too many people talk about. There's the fighting game for the Saturn that I think it only came out in Japan, despite being made by an American company.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with that one
And
myself.
then there's the Streetwise game on Xbox
Oh
that kind
man,
of killed the series.
pretty much killed the series. Yeah, it's a terrible game. I rented that once. It was really bad. It tried to be all dark and gritty, and you know, a more mature, less colorful version.
I mean, I didn't mind the idea of playing as Cody's brother, but tone just wasn't right.
The gameplay wasn't there either. Like the tone didn't fit the series, and the gameplay was just awful. Very just sloppy game, as I recall. You know what sucked is we rented that, and we also rented the Conker's Bad Fur Day.
That's right.
port.
I was underwhelmed by that.
That was
one.
a terrible renting excursion. Holy cow! We
Yeah.
rented 2 terrible games.
just
It should have been a sure thing, you know, like Final Fight, a beat 'em up. Like, how do you screw up the beat 'em up formula? And then Conker's Bad Fur Day, which we had a lot of experience with. You know, we played the Nintendo 64 version a lot. And to see how the Xbox port get kind of so neutered, it's unfortunate.
yeah. I wouldn't mind them doing a revisit of this series now that time has passed enough. I mean, if Street Fighter and let's see, what else have we? Yeah, I mean, if Street Fighter can make a comeback and Streets of Rage and
Yeah.
why not this
I have
game?
seen an interview with some of the original developers for the Conker game, and they all had very fond memories of working on it, but the opinion I kind of got from all of them is they have all sort of grown up a little bit, and they said they don't really see themselves able to make a game like that these days, something that childish and
Yeah.
problematic at times, but all the all the parodies that they managed to cram into that game, all the way they managed to lampoon pop culture and cliches, that's a very funny game. I could see why they might find it hard to work on a similar
Yeah.
title these days.
Considering that it started off as a typical 3D platformer with cute characters.
Yeah, it was supposed to be just kind of a cutesy kids game at first, and just, things changed as they worked on it.
It's also one of the holy grails of lost media. It's never been found or put out on the internet for anybody to play. All we got is early footage of it.
Didn't they eventually come out with a handheld Conker game that was a E for Everyone title?
I don't remember if it was E for Everyone, but I do recall a Game Boy title. And I think Conker was also a playable racer, and I think it was the handheld version of
We are
Diddy
getting
Kong
massive
Racing.
slowdown here. Yeah, I think you're right. I think he was he did have a cameo in a racing game somewhere along the line. I'm still flickering. It's a good thing we record this stuff in 60 frames a second now. All of our early videos, we were stuck with 30 frames per second, and sometimes blinking effects don't show up so well.
Yeah.
You get sprites that just disappear sometimes if it's out of sync.
Ish. Should be the
Hey, the
final
pipe
stretch here.
actually works. It's like the first time the weapon graphics are working properly. Ah. I was too scared to try to hit it. I jumped.
Ah, I got hit on both
Got
sides.
bulldozed, man.
Fortunately, they didn't have a whole lot of since my health is still doing okay.
Yeah, I have yet to try that that 3-player ROM hack for the arcade version.
Yeah, I wouldn't. If we can find a third person willing enough to play with us.
Yeah, maybe I could get Mike Saranokis from the Gotham City Gazette to join us for that one.
Yeah, we haven't spoken to him in a while. He's a good guy.
Good man, good man. I don't think he's producing content right now, but
Yeah, we've all been
still
busy
a
with our
fountain
jobs
of information
and
when it comes to
school.
retro games and comics.
He was also the one that introduced us to retro gaming and Bacos.
Yeah, I gotta start being careful. I'm down to 2 lives. I remember our older brother, he always liked to pick Guy, because he's kind of like a ninja.
Yeah, he is a pretty cool character.
And in the 90s, ninjas were really cool.
Oh yeah, we have the Three Ninjas trilogy,
We
or
sure
the
do.
Quad trilogy.
Yeah, what do you call
the
it?
Hulk Hogan movie.
Couplet, I guess? I'm not sure what you call it.
Yeah. The 4th movie is pretty bad.
I still think the first movie's pretty good, especially the international version where they actually use more realistic sound effects and
Yeah.
has a bit of a darker tone to it.
Wouldn't mind doing a video on that movie someday.
One of these days, yeah. I was very martial arts obsessed as a child. Things like Black Belt magazine and Chuck Norris movies and Ninja Turtles. Like I gobbled that stuff up.
We're absolute geeks.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then of course UFC came along and kind of exposed a lot of martial arts as not necessarily being the best for surviving an actual fight against trained killers.
Yes. Sometimes people forget that in a real fight there are no rules.
Yeah. That's not to say a lot of those martial arts are pointless just because they don't work in
Certain situations.
certain situations. Yeah. There's still something very meditative and healthy when you're practicing something like Tai Chi or Wing Chun. And the discipline that it helps develop is certainly important.
I mean, like Bruce Lee once says, it's not about knowing everything there is about martial arts. It's about knowing everything that's important.
Mm-hmm.
What might work for one person might necessarily work for this other person.
Yeah,
We all have different body types.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fairly long game. In a way, maybe it was good they didn't have the industrial stage. Who knows?
Yeah,
the arcade
it is
again.
pretty long. Maybe they could have tweaked the flow of the game a little bit to make it work a little better. I don't know, I guess it's not too long for a 16-bit game. It's not like modern games where people, if you're spending $60 on a game, you're hoping for, a lot of people are like, oh, it's gotta have at least 40 hours of gameplay. We didn't have that luxury back in the day. Couldn't make every game that long unless you're dealing with RPGs. Oh no!
Heck, some games didn't even have save features. Unless it was an RPG or an adventure game.
Okay, I gotta start being real careful. I'm down to 1 hit point. Or not hit point, 1 life.
Let's see if we can get
1 life to live.
leave everybody on one side of the screen here.
Leave it to you. Oh god.
Oh, that was close.
I think the slowdown was kind of to our advantage.
Yeah, this is when they just throw everything at you.
I'm sure the kitchen sink is coming soon.
Do they got a cloning machine back there or something? Because technology wasn't sophisticated enough to have a random name generator. So they just switch over this. Yep, this is close to the final area of the game. Which also features one more graphic change that was done between the Japanese and American release. We'll get to that pretty soon.
Oh, huh. I almost didn't see that.
Yeah, for some reason there's just certain jarbled graphics that you can't seem to pick up.
I wonder if, yeah, the garbled graphics just messes with the string that allows you to pick it up. I don't know. Because sometimes the graphics are tied to the graphical tile that's being drawn. So if it's not drawing the right graphic, it's not gonna let you interact with it the same way.
There we are, Bilger. Oh yeah, the wheelchair. So, when they brought the game over here, you know, you got this regular wheelchair. And I guess Capcom of America or Nintendo of America, one of those branches thought it wouldn't look right for us to be beating up a guy who might be crippled. So they decided to alter...
Handy-capable, Max. We got to use the right modern terminology here.
That's right. So when they brought it over to America, they altered the chair to make it more look like a couch.
So stupid.
Like a very expensive, luxury wheelchair that you don't necessarily need because he's evil.
Oh my god. All right. Let's try to do this. I've never fought this version of the boss before, so there's a good chance we're not going to make it, but I'll see what I can do. I'll let you move in. I'll try to dodge
He'll
him.
go for you and I'll try to take advantage of it.
All right, sounds good.
Don't worry, Jessica, we're coming.
Right off the bat, I get shot in the back with several arrows. And punched in the back. Oh god. Protect me. You have to get Belger and Jake.
Who's more opposing, Belger or Mr. X from Streets of Rage?
You know, honestly, it's been a while since I've seen Mr. X. I kind of forget what he looks like.
Yeah, he's also kind of a buff dude with a suit and a gun. And
Also a shout out to the final boss in the Die Hard arcade game.
Oh yeah.
Where is the president's daughter?
I love that game.
Yeah. We played it one Christmas.
Yeah, we did it as a Christmas special, a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Because everyone knows Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, since you're the first player, they're probably gonna play your ending.
We'll see. Oh, he can actually hurt his own goons here? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, this guy has no regrets.
Nice!
There we go, right out the window.
I always love that.
You did it, guy.
I did it.
Player one did it all.
Ooh. Ooh. We get this is based on the Japanese ROM, so we'll have to...
You'll have I guess they're gonna insert the English text in a later update. But, do you want to try to interpret this ending?
I mean, really? Did we get Hager's ending after all that?
I guess. So, yeah, that was Final Fight 2-player hack. Obviously, it's still rough around the edges, but I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, no, it's pretty playable in its current state. There's just a few things they gotta polish up, but I'm glad he made it available to the public for us to check out. That was a lot of fun.
Thanks, Rotwang, even if that's not the correct way to pronounce your name. And be sure to check out the 3-player arcade hack that's floating around out there, also made by Rotwang in collaboration with Grego. But yeah, tune in next time as we follow up with either some more Newtopia or some mighty Final Fight hacks.
If you're real lucky, we might play some more Streets of Rage 4.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that either.
Alright everyone, thanks for watching and have a good one.
Lots of fun coming.